Hey there, guys and girls, how you doing? Great to have you here. I'm Dan Ashendorf, and today I wanted to talk to you about one of the biggest problems I see online, and that is how to get started, and more specifically, how to choose your niche. Niche selection is a hugely important part of any e-commerce venture because if you get that right, then everything else is going to fall into place. But you need to find a hot trending niche, and it needs to be not too competitive, but still having the right traffic and so on. And what I wanted to do today is sort of take you by the hand and show you a live case study. And we're going to be looking at one that's really hot at the moment, and that is beekeeping. So beekeeping, looking after bees, producing honey, building beehives, and so on. It's a really hot niche, especially in urban areas. It helps to regenerate towns. It's a really hot in-demand niche. But the problem with that is it's just too competitive. Let's have a look at beekeeping before we do anything else, and then we'll look at how to niche down and then how to find some really hot subcategories within that wide niche. So I'm in moz.com. I've got a free account and I ran a search on beekeeping, and you can see that it's medium difficulty. There's a huge amount of monthly volume searching, which is good, but this difficulty is going to be a little bit challenging for us to get in from day one if we want to rank or if we want to compete on social media and so on. The other thing you can do to check how difficult a keyword is or a niche is or how saturated it is just go to Facebook, key that keyword in and see how many pages you get with how many people on them. So if there's too many with too many people on given pages, then you know you are going to struggle. So with that said, let's look at how to niche down and find some really hot sub niches here to make sure that we can really dominate our area of expertise. So the first thing that I did was I ran a search on hot trends within beekeeping. So hot trends within my niche could be any niche. And I came across a number of sites, but this one here really caught my eye because it looks well laid out. It's simple to navigate. And I came across something really interesting here. So the question is, what sort of sub niches could I go after? And Hive, that's a possibility. Expansion options, okay. Hive accessories, tools and equipment. And then I saw something called under expansion options, I saw something called Langstroth, and that kind of made me think, what is a Langstroth? So I looked it up. It's a specific kind of hive. It's under expansion options, so it looks niche. But what I thought now is let's check how much demand there is for this specific keyword, and is it a good sub niche to go for? So let's have a look at how that's going to pan out. Okay, so back at Moz, Langstroth beehive, 33 difficulty, which is a lot less than what we've seen before, less monthly volume, but nevertheless, what we're trying to do here is move away from the really competitive ones and look at whether we can really get some traction. But what was really interesting was when I looked at Google Trends. Now, let me show you what came up when I had a search on there. So in Google Trends, I'm looking at the US, interest over time, Langstroth, and look at this. Boom. That is a gold mine. And you can see that if you were to jump into this niche at the right time, the opportunities here are very large indeed, because you are going to be getting some organic traffic. It looks like everyone is looking for that specific search term. And we have exactly the same position with Langstroth. Hive might be even more sustainable. You can see that it's kind of up and down, but this is a real spike. I just happened to land on this because I'm looking at sub-niching. If I was to look at beehiving or beekeeping, for example, I'm not sure if it's one word or two words. I'll try them both. Beekeeping, not much, not really what you call a spike. Beekeeping with one word. Again, not really that exciting. Now, the other thing you might want to look at is you want to see the breakout from here. So beekeepers, beekeeping classes, and so on. I actually saw a couple of really interesting ones when I looked at it before, and it was things like urban beekeeping. Probably try this in either one word or two words. Let's see if anything is going to come up. Okay, not really sure that's that exciting. I mean, I can click on this. It says breakout. Let's see what's going to come up, and let's wait for it. It's an upward trend, but nevertheless, guys, you can see that by finding the sub niches, you can really get on some exciting gold mines. So that's the other thing I wanted to show you. Now let's continue with our search to find a profitable sub niche. So first thing you want to be doing is you want to be working with Google autocompletes, Langstroth, Beehive. You can see a whole bunch of sub niches, but all of these are the ones, if you were to go into this specific sub niche, these are all ways that you can actually monetize your sub niche: plans, dimensions, frames, and so on, design. And let's see what happens when we do this. I know this works on YouTube. Let's see what comes up here. So got the long ones, Lorenzo, I don't know what that means, horizontal. Okay, different types of sub niches, but I think this is probably not a bad way to approach this specific sub niche. You do exactly the same thing on YouTube as well to get some ideas, some keyword ideas. Now, the other thing you want to be doing is to look at social. So I'm actually inside my Facebook now, and I'm going to be looking at Langstroth, and I'm going to be looking at pages, because these are business pages. So they're my competition in effect on social. So you can see there's not really that much competition. I mean, there is a few of them, but there aren't as many as, for example, Beehive. So Beehive, if I was to look at the pages here, there is a lot more. If you scroll down, you'll see. I mean, again, this is not hugely competitive like weight loss or anything like this, but our specific sub niche is going to be a lot less in number, and it's going to give us a chance to dominate SEO on Facebook. So when people search for that specific keyword, ours is going to come up on the first page. As almost certainly, there are a few numbers of tricks. If you want to get high SEO search on Facebook, you need to be putting the right description in. You need to be, of course, getting some good feedback on there and so on. But generally, it's a lot easier to rank for that specific sub niche than it would be for the other ones. And that's a really good way to get traffic. For example, I've recently created a Facebook page and a group. I've put the right keywords in there, and I was getting a lot of organic traffic coming in, joining my page, joining my group. So that's just something for you to bear in mind. Now, I want to show you something else as well, and that's really cool. That's a bonus tip for you. One of the things you need to be aware of are the sub-currents within your niche. You need to really understand the forces at play, what's topical, what's going on. We've seen that sub-niche, but one thing we haven't looked at is the kind of macro and micro background. What is it on people's minds? And I happened to stumble upon this article here, and it looks like pesticides is a really big thing with bees. And I'm not going to go through the entire article, but if you read this, you can see that there is a few other sub-currents like urban bees and rural bees, but pesticides seems to be one of the main things that weigh heavy on this industry. And the reason I am telling you this is because when you run ads, for example, if you were to go down the ad route, one of the things you can do in order to get some really competitively priced traffic is to run multiple interests. So for example, back in the day before Shopify was that big, if I wanted to run an ad for people who are looking for drop shipping, I wouldn't just be advertising for drop shipping. I'd also be advertising for people who are interested in drop shipping and Shopify and 2-3 other interests, and then you have that very, very focused niche of people who would be interested in what it is you're offering. And I haven't actually checked this, but I would bet my bottom dollar is that if you did, for example, the interests on Facebook, if you were to put some ads for people who are interested in beehiving and pesticides, you would get a really targeted niche of people who are very knowledgeable in the industry, who have possibly some funds to spend with you. But the main thing is that they really think about what's going on in the industry. They are devout, they are committed, and that's the sort of people that you want to be placing your ads in front of. So that's just something to bear in mind. That comes from knowledge, but also chance. I read Forbes magazine. I saw this and I thought, wow, this is really interesting because I'm going to be talking about beehiving the next day. So that's why I'm using this as an example. There's a few ways to approach this sub-niching. You don't want to be going after the big niches. I've had one of my students, for example, who was going after the keto diet, which is way too big. We looked at niching it down, and we're looking at getting results in a lot less competitive areas. What you do after this is you need to be looking at what is the search terms. Bear with me, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I'm in SEObook.com, and it's a free resource. You need to be setting up an account. And I'm running a search on Langstroth, and never heard of this before, by the way, before today's call. As you can see, I mean, there is a decent amount of searches here. There's 1,778 monthly searches in the US. Hive plans, Dawn, whatever that means, hives, beehive, hive for sale, dimensions, and so on, frames. So you can see there is a decent amount of traffic on it. This is the UK. There's a whole bunch of other countries which aren't on there. So in my opinion, that could be an interesting niche. You could probably rank quite well for it, get something with Langstroth in the domain. I've checked it. The .com is already taken. I think langstrothhive.com is available. It was about £300 or something, around about $500 if you want to invest in that. But possibly you could be getting a real bargain of a .com, investing $500, but you get a major asset that's going to put you in good stead for many years to come in terms of search results. But that's what you need to be looking at. That's the final bit of the jigsaw, is to see how much search you are going to be getting. And we've seen that, of course, we're going to be getting more search results in just beekeeping, but it's going to be too competitive to go into and get immediate results. So guys, hopefully you found this informative. You are ready to go. And I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. I'm Dan Ashendorf signing out. All the best. Now, guys, remember to subscribe to my channel. If you're podcasting, if you're seeing this on my podcast, remember to subscribe to my podcast. Looking forward to speaking to you again at the next call. And what I'm going to be doing, by the way, is putting all the various URLs from this session just underneath either the podcast or the YouTube video. Guys, all the best. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.